My first guest on this portion of the live stream is Surbi Lal, the Senior Venturing Manager at VEB. I should say the new Senior Venturing Manager at VEB. You just joined a couple months ago. Can you give us a little background on sort of, what you were doing before this, and sort of, your interest in in joining up with a company like Coke and being part of VEB?
Definitely. So I've been with VEB about 3 months now. Prior to that, I was on the Smart Water brand team. I came straight from my MBA into Coke. Before that, I had more of an investment banking and corporate finance experience. So for me, VEB was a perfect intersection of all of my previous CPG and finance experience plus my marketing experience at Coke. And I mean, venturing in emerging brands is the future of the company, so it's a great place to be.
Absolutely. And, excuse me, VEB, it's, the unit has gone through some changes in the past year. You can read BevNet if you want to get up on that information, but I will spare you that. But can you sort of just tell us sort of with those changes, people going, people coming, different roles being assigned and consolidation a little bit, what is sort of the goal that was looking to be achieved and where you're now at to sort of build forward?
Sure. From my perspective, being new, I think it was almost a refresh for the team to strategize and see where our focus should be as the beverage industry evolves so much. There's been a lot of change, but I think that brings new and fresh perspective, especially in a place like VEB. We're all excited to see what our new president brings when she joins us in a few months.
And can you tell a little bit about your role specifically as Senior Venturing Manager? What are some of the things that you're going to be looking at or working on in that role?
Yeah, so I'm part of the venturing team, and my specific responsibilities are building out our pipeline, so keeping a close eye on what all the trends are in the market, what are the up-and-coming brands and ones we should be looking closely at.
Great, well, perfect opportunity. Let's talk a little bit about trends. I mean, we can sort of go through a little bit of this, but I just want to get, first of all, is there sort of any impressions, are there any categories or any trends, any sort of things that are sort of, making an impression on you?
So, for VEB in general, we're trying to look at what are those white space opportunities in our portfolio. Coca-Cola has a huge portfolio. We have a huge push for beverages for life, so trying to figure out what are those white space opportunities where we can invest. But we're also trying to look beyond just liquid in a bottle and more at capabilities and platforms so that we can really build our expertise. In terms of trends, I think we're seeing the same things everyone else are. Plant-based products are huge, especially as people are adopting more of a flexitarian lifestyle. We're seeing nootropics and more beauty beverages. We've heard a lot about collagen yesterday and today. That's huge as well. We're also seeing an increase in the crossover of beverages and even food and beverage, so whether that's sparkling coffee or tea sodas or caffeinated water, so we're definitely keeping an eye on that. And then we're also seeing almost more hyper-personalized functionality where people are picking beverages based on what they're looking for, whether that's sleep or beauty or cognitive function or just general wellness. And I think that trend's just going to increase even more in different aspects of health, whether that's cardiovascular health or oral health, and just trying to find the beverages that fit that need. And then lastly, I would say we're seeing an increase in more of the low alc or zero alcohol alcoholic beverages here. We were at Bar Convent earlier this week, and even talking to people there, that was something that wasn't really present in the market anymore, but you're really seeing an insurgence of that, and I think that's just driven by more mindful drinking or people trying to be healthier.
Absolutely, it's definitely a trend that we're seeing as well. If brands are sort of, who wouldn't want to work with VEB? How can they sort of, when is the right stage in their sort of life cycle to sort of think about things like that, and how would they even go about doing something like that, approaching, to try to get on your radar?
We're always open to talking to brands. I mean, we go to expos and conferences and other trade shows to meet brands, because without brands we wouldn't have a business anyway, and we're always looking for the next good thing. And so we're always open no matter what stage you are in your cycle, but in terms of actual investment, we look at more brands who are fully commercialized, maybe $3 to $5 million in revenue. But we're big believers of starting the conversation early and keeping in touch so that we can help however we can, but then we have a good connection when it comes time for investment.
One of the things that was brought up in the live stage yesterday was this idea that we always hear in business is that, invest in people. And, someone had sort of a different idea was, you can't really invest in people unless there's a company and a product sort of there to after you've done investing in the person. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the importance of sort of, investing in that entrepreneur, that person, and sort of where that falls in the scale of priorities, I guess?
Definitely. We view it more as an intersection. So as the gentleman mentioned yesterday, an intersection of not just the founder, but the product and then even the platform. Because if you have a product that is too niche or ingredient focused, there's not really a platform to build that. And if that specific ingredient becomes a fad and no longer is popular, then the whole brand kind of becomes obsolete. So we're trying to look for that intersection of a great founder who even has a great story, a brand, and then the platform that can be expanded.
Absolutely. So when you talk about platform, you're talking about sort of something that can be sort of beyond a single product, correct? Or sort of a family of products?
Yeah, so as an example, one thing we talk about a lot is a fermentation platform. So kombucha is obviously huge right now, but we believe that's a small piece of fermentation. So whether that's one brand that has a wide array of products within fermentation or some sort of capability that can be developed to further develop other fermented products.
And then Coke obviously is an international company, and I think with the recent launch of Coke Energy sort of happening overseas, a lot of different stuff happening in different regions. Do you guys sort of, does VEB sort of pay close attention to sort of, things that are going on internationally and ways to bring, maybe some trends that are happening elsewhere for American audiences?
So we're all naturally curious people, so I would say we definitely keep an eye on what's happening more broadly. But we also have a global ventures group within Coca-Cola who's more focused on connecting the different regions where we operate and bringing those learnings and leveraging expertise and connecting everyone together.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, where else can you go? Let's talk about the low alc stuff for a minute. What I guess in your definition, what is a low alcohol drink? I mean, where does that sort of fall on the spectrum?
In terms of consumption?
Or I guess like in terms of an ABV, or what would be like the range of sort of kind of thing you would be looking for?
Yeah, so we see about 0 to 5% maybe, but Coca-Cola actually, VEB launched our own non-alcoholic beverage, Bar None. My colleague Sabrina Tandon did an amazing job really pushing the product, and it was an innovation that came out of VEB, and it's doing amazing. We're launched it locally right now in Atlanta. There's been great consumer experiences with it, and we're trying to expand it more broadly, but it's such a new and different category. It's been a learning process trying to understand how to sell it in, but it's helpful to see that other people are getting into the space, so there's more consumer awareness of these non-alcoholic spirits that are really just trying to meet the social occasion of alcohol and provide you the essence of it without having alcohol.
Absolutely. And with something like that, you have a test sort of pilot run. I understand that's available just in Atlanta
Yes.
for right now. Sort of what do you guys do with the data, and sort of what are some of the insights that you can gain from sort of that initial phase?
Yeah, we're really trying to understand, as I mentioned, how to sell in well, because even if our sales team goes in to sell it in, a lot of our retailers aren't really aware of it as a category or don't really understand it as a category. So it's almost an education, not just for consumers, but retailers as well, to show that this is a burgeoning category, consumers are interested in it. So we're growing locally, and then we're also looking at other markets to expand into in specialty grocery. And we'll be at Expo East, so you can come check us out and try the product, but I think it's just really about education.
Fantastic. And we have about a minute left. I would be remiss if I did not ask a little bit about CBD. I know that we're not going to get a commitment here, but just sort of what is I guess like where you guys sort of, what are you looking at? What are you paying attention to? Is it the regulation side? Is it sort of looking at brands and sort of what they're doing? Just how are you observing this space as it develops?
So I would say a combination of both. I mean, we don't have our heads in the sand. We know that CBD is huge right now. It's exploding, but we definitely have an eye on the regulatory aspect of things. Until it's completely legal across all 50 states, we wouldn't be able to invest in it, but we're still keeping an eye on what brands are doing so that we're just learning for ourselves and building our brains around it.
Absolutely. Well, what can, I guess what can people expect from VEB in this year, or are you guys like working on anything that we can sort of expect later?
Nothing that I can really share right now, but we're still working on just building our ecosystem, meeting these amazing entrepreneurs at events like this, and just looking for new investments.
That's a good answer. Thank you. Surbi, it was so great having you. Thanks so much for joining us.